www.freetalklive.com.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. It is Free Talk Live. The telephone number in the studio here is 603-283-6160. Again, 603-283-6160. If you'd like to join the conversation, talk about whatever's on your mind. We've been having a conversation with the founder of this very talk show, Mr. Ian Freeman, and we'll get back to his call in just a minute. But in the studio tonight, it's myself, the Reverend Captain Kickass.
And it's Conan.
And Aria will be joining us either next segment or the segment after. So without further ado, let's go back to Mr. Freeman's call. Ian, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, and by the way, what a stupid bail restriction that Aria and the other folks who were let out on bail can't talk to one another, and they can't talk to me, and they can't talk to nobody. It's like, well, okay, so can we make it so the federal government guys can't talk to each other too? I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that would be very nice. And by the way, speaking of one of those in particular who you're not allowed to be in the same room with or talk to or whatnot, has conveyed a message to me that she loves you from the bottom of her heart and misses you very much. And of course, we all miss you very much, and but we know that you're strong and that we're going to get through this. But yes, we all miss you very much for sure.
Agreed.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Yeah, and we will get through this. Just the question is, how much damage are they going to do in the meantime?
Yeah,
that's what they want to do. They want to hurt Free Talk Live.
We'll make an example of you.
It's been a pretty effective attack.
Well, they didn't count on the captain being around, so.
Right.
While it wasn't perfect, I did my best to hurl my middle finger in their general direction for, the next 5 days after everything went down until we could get some real help in here. So hopefully that was far more than they anticipated.
Yeah, you guys got her done. Nice job. I don't know if you can hear the screaming man in the background.
No. What do you think his problem is?
He's listening to Free Talk Live.
Oh, he might want
some sort of problem.
So Conan had asked about you being, isolated or put into medical. Are you still there?
No. I think the first 4 or 5 days I was in what they call the processing wing, and then they moved me to medical for another 4 or 5 days, and then they moved me back to processing for a few days, and then they moved me to G block for a couple of days, which is a segregation block, and then they moved me to the B block, which was the worst of all, this open block where there's 40 guys all just kind of living in this open cell block where there's no actual doors. There's 4 toilets for all 40 guys.
Wow.
Is that because they're running out of a room or something?
What's that?
Is that because they're running out of room to house people?
No, this is the way this particular block, this B block, is designed. So it's designed to pack in a bunch of guys. It's sort of like a boys' camp situation where everything's out in the open and there's no privacy, whatsoever. If you want to hang out with convicts and play cards and watch TV, then it's probably fine. But for me, I couldn't even get through a page of a book that I was trying to read, and because I don't wear a mask because of my medical exemption, they told me I couldn't even leave my little cubbyhole area where there was where my mattress was. So I couldn't even go walk around. I couldn't get any meaningful, exercise. I couldn't even make a phone call. So I reached out to the jail administrators and said, hey, look, can you put me back in segregation? I'd rather have 1 hour out where I can actually make a phone call, than be in this situation where I'm the most restricted.
Sure.
And I think they want me to put a mask on. I think that's really what it's all about, and I'm not going to do that. I'm exempt from
Good
that.
for you.
Did you feel safe in that 40-room room?
Well, I mean, if you're in jail, you're not going to be in a particularly generous. I mean, at least in New Hampshire, in my experience, I don't know about Valley Street. I've heard that place is not so great in Manchester, but a jail like this, these guys are short timers for the most part. There are people with, if you're in jail, you're in with other people who are there for usually no more than a year. So most of those guys aren't going to jeopardize, picking up a real prison sentence for doing anything of any serious danger. I mean, they literally only had one guard watching over a room full of 40 men.
Okay. What are most of the offenses you're finding there from the prisoners?
Well, I don't have a chance to talk to people generally because I'm locked down 23 hours a day.
Right.
That B block I was telling you about, that open room, I was literally there for no more than like 4 or 5 hours before they were thankfully able to get me out. So I didn't have to spend I didn't even spend a night there before I was back in a segregated block.
I'm under the understanding that nobody was in a situation where he was amongst many other people, as you've described, and has, of course, developed quite the flock, apparently. 3-4 people that, he's talked about the Church of the Invisible Hand and, this kind of a thing. So he's apparently doing nobody's stuff.
Yeah, that's what I would expect of him, and that's why he's been able to have more freedom to call into the show, because he's not on a 23-hour lockdown. He's likely in an open. Maybe he's not in a block like the one I was in. He's probably in a maximum cell block where they sort of open the doors up and you have your own cell. This is the way it was in Cheshire County, where you can just kind of walk out of your cell anytime you want, except for when they lock you down a few times a day. So he's probably out for like 8 hours a day instead of 1.
It sounds just like nobody. You're absolutely right. Pope nobody, or the Messiah nobody, with his flock. He's like Moses coming down from the mountain with his tablets. People wanting
these 10 commandments.
Yeah, and I might be in a situation like that too, if I were to put a mask on, which of course I'm not going to do because I'm medically exempt, and so therefore I get put in segregation, which is fine because it just gives me a chance to get a lot of reading done, and I can focus on writing stuff and replying to letters.
This is when you learn an instrument, man.
Well, you don't get an instrument. So.
Or a third language or something. I don't know,
Or write your memoirs.
And there's usually there's plenty of books around too, even if people don't send them. The county has a library. You can't actually go to the library, but they'll bring a book cart around. So I've been through probably at least close to 20 books at this point.
Do they let you journal and diary or stuff like that? Do they give you a
as
pen
long as you
and
have paper, and if you've got commissary, you can order notepads and things like that. So yes, I can do that stuff. Like I said, I'm working on some blog posts. On
a personal note, when we're kind of relying on you to let us know when you might need more commissary. So just we don't have a way to monitor what that amount is. So
thank you to everybody who's made those donations. It's been very generous, and it's definitely helped because it's a lot easier to make a phone call if it's prepaid.
Indeed.
Because every time you have to call somebody collect, then they have to put like a debit card number in, and it takes another 2 or 3 more minutes just to even make a simple phone call. So having that prepaid funding really helps.
Another discussion that I think just cropped up was people having to pay more, and the question was it because of in-state versus out-of-state phones? Do you know anything about that? And we're right at the end, by the way.
Yeah, I'll let you guys go. But yeah, briefly, if I call a number that's long distance, it's actually cheaper generally than calling a 603 number. Like significantly.
Gotcha. Ian, it was nice hearing from you, man.
Great to hear you, brother.
Guys. Keep up the great work.
I'll talk to you again soon. Peace. Ian Freeman, everybody. 603-283-6160 is the number. More Free Talk Live coming up.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died